know who you are a little bit?
Sure, I'm Amy Violet. I'm the beneficiary coordinator at the Disability Foundation. So I'm kind of the point of contact for all people who have trust with us. I'm the one they contact about distributions and that kind of thing. So that's my role.
Yeah, we're with the Disability Foundation, and let me say that we're in service too. And I certainly appreciate all you do. I was telling folks I belong to Centerville Kiwanis for 19 years. If you bought a Christmas tree in Centerville, I hope you didn't buy it from the Optimist. Hope you bought it from us. Just kidding, just kidding. Some of you at the Dayton Rotary may remember me. I spoke a couple times there when I was with a previous life when I ran the castle. Judy Buddy and folks were very supportive of us at the castle, so I appreciate it.
Judy just got promoted. I saw that.
What's that?
Judy just got.
She did. She got a big new job, didn't she? Great lady. Great. Anyways, so we're the Disability Foundation. We're a supporting organization of the Dayton Foundation, so if you know what that is, of course. But we were formed 20 years ago to administer special needs pooled trusts. The purpose of the Special Needs Trust, or the reason for it, came about because of the need to enable people living with disabilities to have the benefit of their money from families, other sources, personal injury suits, that sort of thing, and not lose their very, very necessary public benefits of Medicaid and SSI. People living with disabilities depend on their Medicaid for their insurance, SSI for basic living necessities. But up until that point in time, 20 years ago, families were told you have to disinherit your child so they don't get your inheritance and lose their Medicaid benefits. Special Needs Trust corrected that. So, when the law passed, it established two types of special needs trusts. One, an individual trust, which is administered and established by many of our attorneys across town. And for people with lesser means or smaller assets, significantly smaller, they create pooled trusts, which is what we administer. A pooled trust means it's part of a pool. We have 800 participants. We have $21+ million of money we administer under management, and we have 800 people participating. So it's part of a pool. One master trust document, one big bank account with sub-accounts. The purpose of that money then, it can be used essentially maximizing people's benefits, Medicaid, SSI, and then the private money that they can use for everything Medicaid won't pay for and their SSI won't pay for. Our job as distribution trustees, we have a fiduciary responsibility to those beneficiaries to make sure the money is spent appropriately and the documentation that exists to succeed if challenged under Medicaid, SSA, that sort of thing. So it's our job to administer that through a representative. So that's what we do. We work with a lot of attorneys, a lot of financial planners, work directly with families, work with county boards, work with anybody that wants to talk to us about trust. We do not require an attorney to establish the trust because we're not custom drafting anything. It's one master trust already established and people attached to it. Anything you want to talk about with it?
I think that was basically it. I mean, the whole point is to protect those benefits. So anytime people have additional money, sometimes we have people maybe who live in residential facilities and they tend to accumulate their money and it kind of goes over the limit. So sometimes they'll establish trust. Service providers will help them do that, and then whenever they get close to that limit, the money goes into the trust and it can just stay there when they do need it. So it can accumulate as much as it needs to, and they can put as much as they need to, and they can make deposits as many times as they need to keep that person under that limit so that they don't lose the benefits. Then they draw the money out for whatever. Say they need new furniture, clothing. Sure, you got a question?
What happens on death?
These are Medicaid payback trusts. So they're first-party self-settled trusts. So what that means is that the way the law reads, regulations read, money not retained by the foundation, pooled trust must be administered by nonprofit foundation. Not retained by the foundation must then be first used to repay Medicaid for any liability incurred during a lifetime of the beneficiary. We retain 25%. is not used in operating dollars, it's used for grants that we give out to organizations to serve the disabled. So, that's an important point, because as we tell people establishing trust, they really need to do some estate planning. This is only a small part of it. And if they have multiple children, don't overfund the trust, because if the child with a disability dies, that money can't roll over into other siblings. So you want it, it's a judgment they have to make at the time.
Theoretically possible though to pay back the government, pay your 25%, and the rest of it rolls back out?
Theoretically, yes, but realize ours are low dollar trusts.
Yes.
An individual trust takes several $100,000 generally to write an individual trust. Our average trust is funded with $29,000.
I was just gonna say, some instances that might happen, and has happened, is if somebody isn't on Medicaid until the end of their life. They're going to their nursing home, they've sold things, they have this money, they could put it into the trust and still qualify for Medicaid. If they die before they've incurred much Medicaid liability, then yes, there can be some funds left over that they can name beneficiaries to be left to family members after Medicaid. But that's typically when that applies.
And one point to what you were saying is, an individual trust cannot be established for someone 65 years or older. However, a pooled trust can in Ohio. That's a significant difference. So we have seniors serving that are 70 years old and they're putting money into a trust.
Is that statutory?
Yes.
65?
Yes. Yeah. The language is absent with the pooled trust. It's very specific in the individual trust. It's absent in the pooled trust. That is being litigated in some states. Ohio codified it about 6 years ago into the revised code to permit it. So that's what we do. The money is kind of fun. We're just coming up in our 20th year. We just finished our 20th anniversary, and we went through the distributions we'd made over the 20 years, and it was amazing how much of that was related to people being able to live independently. They maybe had a home, but they needed somebody to cut their grass. They may needed someone to come in and help them during the day. They needed to fix the roof or get appliances. All those things can be paid for out of their special needs trust. One fellow, soon after I started there, got a large inheritance. He bought a wheelchair van. He needed a van to get around. So that's what we do. We really would like an opportunity to talk to your clubs individually, and we go wherever we can to get the word out to let people know we exist. So many people don't know about special needs trust. Even a lot of attorneys don't know about it if they're not in that field.
Did you have cards or literature?
Yeah, it should be at your place.
There's a bunch
Yeah,
of them
right
on
there.
that table as well.
Right there. That's it. Yep.
You have questions?
Does money in the trust count towards the Medicaid spin down?
They can use it towards that.
I mean, is it protected from that?
Yes.
Yes, protected from any kind of Medicaid
Yes.
consideration.
Because it's not in their name, actually, it's in the name of the trust.
They don't actually own it.
They don't own it.
Right.
It's owned by the 501c3 that owns the trust.
And that is an irrevocable decision?
Excuse me?
That is an irrevocable decision?
They're irrevocable. Irrevocable. And they have to work through a personal representative, because if you have a trust, you cannot access it directly or it becomes a resource. So we have to work through a representative, not a representative payee, not a guardian, but whoever they trust to make requests on their behalf.
Is there a limit on the amount of money they can withdraw each year?
No, there's no limit on how much they can put in or how much they can withdraw. The way the trust works is, there's the one that mostly people use. You can withdraw as much as the full trust if you want to, the day after it's established, if you wish.
The funds that go into the trust, what are they invested in?
They're invested very conservatively according to Dayton Foundation's investment policy, conservative investment policy. What's remarkable is during the 2008 drop, the funds held their value. Because you don't invest in this to make money, you invest in to protect it. Heavily in the bond market. So we know when the stock market goes up, bond market may dip a little bit. So people, when they get their statements the last year until the last quarter, they were kind of unhappy. Well, I dropped a little bit. Yeah, but you could have dropped a lot more. But yeah, it's the Dayton Foundation. We're a supporting organization of them. They appoint our board. They oversee us. They're our back office. A member of the foundation staff serves on our board. but we are guided by elder law attorneys.
Do you charge a monthly fee,
We charge an annual fee.
annual fee?
We charge a $1,000 setup fee when the first check comes in, then $250 a year after that. That's it.
That's not bad.
It makes it very affordable. And we function as a trustees.
Right.
Okay?
Do you have any more questions? Well, I'm sure that they'll be available to come to speak to each of your clubs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you
let's
for
give them a
inviting me.
hand, please.
Mhm.